Salutations, good people. It's Melissa. Willkommen back. Willkommen. Welcome back to my channel. Or welcome if you're just watching. Hello. Welcome to the awkwardness. Yes. Yes. You might just like it. Maybe. Meh. So, this video is about... I don't do story times, but I guess, how about just a story time about, is that really, story time? This actually happened to me. I don't really watch too many story time videos, but this actually happened. So just listen here, children. I was about to say it. So, come on, my children, sit near. Let me tell you a tale about Paul Revere. So no, which technically, he didn't even ride that far. Sybil Ludington and Israel Bissell, he sounds like a Jewish vacuum cleaner, rode further to let people know that the regulars were coming, aka the British are coming. The British are coming. A little history note for you. Sybil Ludington, Israel Bissell. Sounds like a crazy person. Sounds like a Jewish vacuum cleaner. Just saying. Because of Sybil, the Sally Fields movie, telefilm, whatever, with DID, or like dissociative identity disorder or something like that, or what they used to call multiple personality disorder. And then Israel, Shalom, Bissell, like a vacuum cleaner. If I offended you, I'm sorry. I'm just stating what it sounds like. And, you know, just letting you know, the more you know. Gotta be well informed out here in these streets and suburbia, cul-de-sacs, whatever. Just gotta be informed wherever you are. Okay? Okay. Alrighties. So let's get to it. So your girl, this happened about 2 years ago. We're gonna change the names of the places of employment. So this was called Schminity Point. At Fafeldith Hospital. So I had just finished a phlebotomy medtech program at the local community college here in terrible Midwest country. Not all of Midwest, but here in Illinois, I'm just sick of Illinois. I'm just sick of this place. I'm just sick of it. But anywho, been sick of it since I got here. And it's been years. But anywho, I digress because it's what I do. So, I spent my clinicals because girl don't have a car. So I requested I get a clinical site close to where I primarily work. Or at least close in town where it'd be easy for me to get an Uber or take the bus or take a cab to where I have to go to work. Clear? We follow? Okay, good. So I lucked out and I ended up getting a clinical site across the street from where my primary job is. Yes, there are two hospitals that are legitimately, have a throughway, a bridge, a highway in between them. But they're across the street from each other. By vehicle, it's zip, zip. On foot, oh, yabba dabba, foot. Oh, my feet, yabba dabba, my feet. Like, I'd be at my clinicals at 6 something in the morning till about 3:30, almost 4 o'clock. I'd stay almost till close. Now, my normal shift at work starts at 2:15, so I'd stay over to get my clinical hours because you need 100 plus hours and 100 plus sticks for phlebotomy. So I did it. I loved the diagnostic lab and the outpatient lab where I worked, where I did my clinicals. Thought it was wonderful. I was thinking, I have this brand new skill. I work second shift. If I could find me even a first shift position, 1 or 2 days a week, and they were open on the weekend, only for 4 hours, but you still got weekend pay and 4 hours of work, and sometimes it was super busy, sometimes it was super dead, and you did nothing. And I'm just thinking, this would be great. I'll go ahead, I'll do this. I'm so, It's like bing, bang, boom. This will be great. This will be great. Be extra money. Be good. Sock it away, you know, for me and mommy to return to Maryland and get the heck out of Dodge, you know? Well, see what happened was... Okay, so I did it. I graduated. Your girl didn't even study for her exam and got a B. For the overall program, I got an A. So I matriculated. I graduated, as you know. And as I'm actually looking at my certificate and then my college, my degree and my other degree and my high school diploma. It's all on my little windowsill there, like my little small corner of achievement. Small corner of achievement. Yes. Anywho, guys, just being weird. So I'm just thinking, hey, I should use the skill. It's fresh. I'm good at it. I like doing it. And I might as well get paid for it. I just spent several months doing it for free. I've been doing it for gratis as a learning experience, obviously. Clinicals. So I'm just thinking, it'll be great. I'll do this, you know, as a little part-time side gig. Great. So, your girl decides to apply at the hospital where I did my clinicals. Now here I'm hoping I get into the area where I did my clinicals because they needed a person, because there was only one person in there 1 day a week opening and closing. I'm just thinking, wouldn't it be great if I could stay from like even 7 in the morning to like 1:30 and help them out, and then they close by them, you know, they close up by like 4. And I'm just thinking, yeah, that'll be great. Like, it'd only be a few hours for them to be by themselves, you know, if they got 2 people in there, fabu, right? Or even the diagnostic center where they need somebody even a couple days a week because they're short people, because people are quitting or people are moving to different departments, or they're only PRN, like super PRN, or like their availability is like whack or whatever. I was open to either work at the diagnostic center or the outpatient lab, where I did both my clinicals, where they kind of bounced me back and forth. Even third shift at the same place, even though the diagnostic lab and the diagnostic lab and the outpatient lab closed by 4. For the outpatient lab, 4:30, I think, outpatient lab, and then like 5 o'clock or 5:30 for the diagnostic lab. It's been a hot minute, but yeah. So your girl goes online and applies. I put my resume in. I have my references, the department head, the girls from who did my clinicals, and you know, I get an interview. And like, oh, it was several supervisors from all the like the labs at that hospital, and it was co-opted into a corporation, so it was bought in by a group, and so multiple hospitals that were separate entities were now under one whole umbrella. You following? You picking up what I'm putting down? Okay, fabulous. Let's keep going. So they were all in the interview with me. They're all talking and asking me questions. Each asked me something. You know, this is great. Oh, yeah, you just got out. Oh, yeah, you come with great references. Oh, good job. You got great grades. Good GPA. Good job. You got good references. Yeah. I was like, well, I work full-time at XYZ hospital. They're like, oh, you work for the competition. I was like, I do. I've been full-time there now for a couple years. So what are we going to do? And they're just like, oh, that's fine. You know what? We have third shift available, or you say that you could do a day shift. I was like, well, yeah. I was like, on like one day, and if you have a weekend where you need somebody for, you know, some time. I said, yeah. I said, I'm not really doing anything. I might as well make money. At this point, I was not in my relationship at the time. I was single, free as a bird, rolling solo. So, and right now I'm not really, sort of kind of in a relationship. We're just going to bypass the sort of kind of in a relationship right now. That'll give you a headache. We'll talk about that another time, guys. We'll talk about that another time. So, I get through the interview process, And not even 48 hours later, it was less than 2 days, they called me back and said, we'd like to offer you the job. I said, oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I said, okay, so where am I working? And they said, well, we're not going to put you at the hospital where you did your clinicals. I was like, oh, okay. So where will you put me? Oh, at another hospital. It's a smaller hospital. And they're like, third shift. I was like, oh, well, I'm a night owl. I work till 11 o'clock at night anyway. I said, so that's fine. And I don't go to sleep till like 5 in the morning most time, which is bad most of the time. So I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, oh yeah, like great. So you'll work Friday, Saturday. You get off. You work your primary job, and you come in by like 11:30, 11:45. Come in, you work till like 7 in the morning. I was like, on a Friday till Saturday morning. I said, oh, that's fine. I said, that's nothing. That's a drop in the hat. And I said, and it's every other weekend. So I'd have a whole week off, not doing anything. I was like, so I only work that Friday, Saturday. I think maybe even a Sunday, and then they had the option to float me between the bigger hospital and the small one where they put me. Now, I said, that's great. Immediately after me accepting the position, which I didn't know they lowballed me on pay as well. This is going to be another video about wage discrimination and just wage gaps. Oh, that's coming. It's coming. Best believe it's coming. So, yes, I was bred into the field, but I also came with college education. But see, that doesn't seem to matter that you come with college education or medical background. That doesn't seem to matter because they only offered me $11 an hour. Phlebotomists don't make that much anyway, not unless you're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, because the cost of living is much higher back home. I saw a couple of jobs where they were offering $17, $18, $19, $20, $21 even to go work as a phlebotomist. So I was thinking, if y'all would just pay me to pay for my move, I'd come on down. I'd be back home in a heartbeat. Hop, skip, jump. Be like, whoosh. Be like, hey, let me show you where I'm at. I moved home. Show my camera. Be like, I'm home. I'm back in Maryland. Maryland. I had a teacher, Mr. Nathaniel. That's right. He was from Virginia, and he pronounced Maryland. Merlin. I said, Merlin is the wizard in the Arthurian tales. Knights of the Round Table. Also, it's a tire company. It's pronounced Maryland. Yeah, that's what I said. Merlin. That's what I said. Merlin. You said Merlin. Again, magical entity from Arthurian legend. Arthurius, Lancelot, Guinevere, Gawain. Maryland, not Merlin. I digress. Let's go on. Anywho. Yep, still storming. Let's go ahead and get this story wrapped up here. So, I'm going to oil my scalp. Anyway, I was lowballed on pay. I accepted the job. They told me I would be working third shift, which was fine. I'm a night owl. What time is it right now? 12:19 Thursday. 12:19 on a Thursday. So boom, there you go. So as you can see, I'm wide awake all the time. I also did just come from work, so I'm kind of keyed and wired. But anywho, I digress. Again, what's what I do. So third shift. Supervisor immediately starts texting me, I'm so happy you accepted the position. I just loved you in the interview. You were just so nice and so well spoken. They love to say that phrase. Remember this, people. They love to say that phrase, especially when you're So they're just going, oh, we're so excited, we're glad. The person that you're going to be filling in for, she's tenured, she's got a lot of PTO, which is paid time off, or, you know, vacation time off, VTO, PTO, depends on what company you work for, but, you know, vacation hours. She's got a whole bunch of vacation hours built up. And if you don't use it, you lose it, and then you don't accrue anymore. Just a little lesson or a little side note there. So she was going to take off every other weekend so she could still earn PTO, but then burn it, you know. And that's who I was filling in for. I was like, okay, that's fine. It's great. And I said, you know, like, but we also will float you, and sometimes there'll be more shifts for you to pick up if she wants to take another day off during the week, or if we have a call-in, you know, you can come in the morning for a few hours and just help fill in, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine, great. So it's like, okay, and then HR contacted me, okay, you're going to need to go get your physical, you're going to need to get your drug test, we're going to need to get your fingerprinted, we're going to need to get you XYZ, we're going to need to get you this, blah, blah, blah. So a whole bunch of stuff. So it was a long, arduous process to get through the physical. It took hours. Even though it was just because where they tell you to go do the physical, it takes forever and a freaking day. And this hospital has a policy, I think it's still in play. If you test positive for tobacco in your bloodstream or your urine, they won't hire you. Now, I am not a smoker. I don't schmoac. I don't schmoac the stickiest of the icky, and I don't schmoac tobacco. So that was a plus. You know, that was a plus right there for me. I'm like, hey, they ain't gonna find nothing in my blood. So I'm not a pill popper. I don't do anything. So I don't even drink. Although some days I really want to have one or 7. I was like, but you're not gonna find anything. So yep, that went through. Like, oh yeah, you're clear. Drug test clear. Everything clear. I was like, baboo. So then they have me do like this breathing test. Like, is it a spirometer? I think it's a spirometer. And it's like, take a deep breath and then blow over as long as you can. I'm just going. I was like, and the doctor literally, he's like, well, you have to get big bosoms. He's like, so you've got a lot right there. Like, as I'm jiggling my boobs, he's like, you got a lot right in that area. You know, pressing in your lungs, diminishing your lung capacity. And, you know, you're a little heavier. I was like, sir, did you just poke my boob and tell me that my lung capacity is slightly diminished? He's like, I didn't mean you. That's not how I meant, ma'am. He's like, okay, let's go ahead and get your physical over with. Let's stand. Let's sit. Let's bend. Let's lift. Let's reach up high. Making me feel like Richard Simmons. Okay, reach up high now. March in place. Jazzercise. Basically, that was the physical. Because they require you to, one, stand on your feet for 6 to 8 hours or so. Be able to bend, stoop, pick up 20 to 50 pounds. I meet all those requirements and things like that. So it's super simple. It's nothing like too insane. And it's like, okay, this is not terrible. This is fine. And I get through it. And, you know, they give you the printout, and you have to take the printout to the HR when you go see them so they can do some other screenings and other things at the hospital. And then you get your badge photo taken. Ayo. Oh, I just hit myself in the face. I got lipstick on my hand. Wait. Okay. And then you get your badge photo and all that jazz. They test you for tuberculosis. See if you have titers. So if you had, you know, your immunization and, you know, your shots as a child or as an adult, tetanus shot, you know, flu shot, all that jazz. So, you know, you go get that done. All that fun time. It's a long, arduous process because almost every day they had me coming in there because they forgot to do something or they lost something. So off the bat, this was a long, annoying process. This should have been there. Like, should have been a warning sign, like, Melissa, abandon ship right now. Abandon ship. And, I mean, my sister spent almost 20 years in this company and jumped ship. So did our family friend, who she's our cousin. And she was there for like 15, 16 years, and she's a nurse, and she jumped ship. Should have listened. Shouldn't have been so hot-headed. I just shouldn't have been there. Anywho, I digress. So finally, I get my, wait. I don't even get my ID. Wait. It's great. So finally, all the paperwork, everything, all the stars align, all the paperwork matches, all this jazz works. Okay, we following? Good. So then I finally get told what day is my orientation. I said, fabulous. Okay, I'll be there. Oh, it's 8 to 4:30. I gotta be at my other. Okay, well, I told my other job. So I've got orientation. So they, I started my shift at like 4:30 that day. So I sit through orientation. I ended up seeing somebody I actually work with at the other hospital. She's a surgical tech. And so she was working there as a surgical tech. She was saving up and trying to get more money saved while she's going to nursing school. I'm so proud of her. She's so wonderful. And she's still working at this company, by the way. God bless her. She's a trooper. I love her to pieces. She's so sweet. But anywho, orientation was nice. They feed you. Good food too, by the way. They beverage you, snack you. Like, it was a nice little orientation. Very nice. And they fed me all week. Like, it was, the whole week of the job. I was like, oh, hey, for at least the first 2 days, they definitely, fed you and, gave you a tour, let you know where everything is. So at orientation, by the way, we were all, when we came in, we were supposed to find our face, and we were supposed to get our badges. So here I'm looking on the table going, how many Melissa last name starts with the letter I can there be? I'm looking. No badge. So then they have a whole bunch of HR reps and people, and I reach out to them like, oh, yeah, this smaller hospital is supposed to actually make your badge so you have access to the garage or the parking deck, this area, and then they put like these little load jacks on the back of your badge, and then also this little piece that when you go in and out of patient's room, it dings if you do not wash your hands or use hand sanitizer, which I think is actually a great thing because it helps drill in hand hygiene and also keeping things sterile and keeping surgical HAIs, hospital-acquired infections, down, because people do not practice enough hygiene. Especially, my stethoscope is all the way over there, and I'm not getting it. But when nurses and doctors and residents, are listening, they put their stethoscope in. Some don't wipe the stethoscope, the piece. Right now, I can't think of the name of it. Not an otoscope, that's for your ear. Oto is ear, like otolaryngologist. My brain. But if they're putting on patients, if patients have, bacteria and things on their skin, or if they have an open wound or anything like that, they've just put it on skin, and then they're putting it on another patient, and then putting it on another patient, and then putting it on another patient. It's like 6 degrees of separation in the healthcare field. Like, all of a sudden, shazam, it's like a bajillion things. So, yeah, so I think that was a brilliant thing to do, is to put a little badge or a little alert that when you walked in and out of a patient's room, you washed or use hand sanitizer, and then when you would leave the patient's room, you washed your hands or used hand sanitizer. Either or were acceptable. Me, I like washing my hands. So, and using hand sanitizer, which it may be overkill, but, if the patient was in isolation or their skin, they were sullied, it was a whole nother ball game. It was very hard to do. So, here I am in orientation. 2 days in, no badge. Still no badge. Like, how am I supposed to get paid? So they were having to manually clock me in and clock me out. And finally, day 3 or 4, I get my badge when I actually start in the area where I'll need it. So then teach me the time clocking system called Chronos. It's not that bad. It's very easy. They show me the system for the lab and the computer and yada yada yada. I catch on. I'm very familiar with EMRs, which is electronic medical record systems, and also laboratory systems. They're not super difficult to understand once you see it. And since I feel very comfortable with window-based systems, they're kind of window-based systems. They're not that hard to figure out. They're pretty easy once you know where you're pointing and clicking. You know what I mean? So, going through that, getting through that, every day I had a different trainer until I got some lady named, let's just call her a negative Nellie. A very negative Nellie. Let's just call her Nellie. And she was my preceptor. She was an older lady, 60s. She was just like, well, I have my master's in microbiology and blah, blah, blah. And my husband also has a master's. And we have 7 children and blah, blah, blah. But she had retired from the lab. But since they were so short, they had her working PRN, but she was essentially working full-time hours with none of the benefits. So she was not getting any insurance because she was PRN. She was not getting anything put in her 401k. She was not getting any PTO, VTO, any vacation hours. So no incentive. She was just getting paid, and she was just PRN. She had retired, but they needed a seasoned and seniored scientist or technician in the back in the laboratory. But she also was a phlebotomist, and she's like, I'm an old tech. I know the old ways. First, she criticized that I talked too much to the patients. Now, look, it's my channel. I talk a lot, and I ramble. It's what I do. And I digress a lot, because that's also what I do. But to assuage patients' fears coming into the lab, sometimes I got requested, please just keep talking to me because I'm scared of needles. I hate this, and I know you have to stick me multiple times, or I need multiple vials of blood for my tests. So I just don't want to think about it. Please don't stop talking to me. I said, okay, I can do that for you. And, talking to the patient, efficiently, still getting my samples in the correct order of draw, mind you. Thank you very much. You talk too much to the patients. Less talking, more sticking. There was all these patients. She had it where there were other people working in the lab, but she was sending them all my way. Now, I understand I'm the new person on the job, but I did just go through clinicals, and I understand it's not like trial by fire. But why are you making me do the majority of the work, even though I need the experience so I can do it by myself on thirds? It's fine. It's not like I'm scared of it. But divvy up the work if there's 3 or 4 other lab assistants and phlebotomists there. Just saying, don't give me 12 patients and they're only getting 1. That's all I'm saying. 1 every couple minutes. And she's like, no, leave them for her. Leave them for her. Leave them for her. Didn't like her off the bat. And then when we got called to go to the units to go collect specimens, so I didn't clarify. So if you weren't in the lab working in there getting stuff, that's where my training was. It was in the lab, and then also they would take me off to the floor to go into the units, onto like ICU and the other rooms in the ED to go take specimens from the patients. Lord Jesus. So I go with her to go get a patient, like not go get a patient, but go to a patient to collect another lab that the doctor ordered to follow up and check on this patient. This poor little woman, I had actually, with another preceptor, I had just taken her labs, and she went from like an intermediate bed to an ICU bed. So she was really sick, and she was such a sweet little old lady. And so I get in there, and her hand and arm are having severe edema. She's very, very, very swollen, very puffy. And I said, I don't think this is a very good arm to stick her in. I said, when you press down and it leaves the indent, there is severe edema. That was her whole hand. That was her whole arm. There was no redness. Again, I am a medical professional, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not an APN. I'm not a PA yet. And I'm just thinking, well, it doesn't look like cellulitis, but I understand that we got to get this blood out of her. I'm just thinking maybe her knuckles, but her hands were too swollen for me to see, to get a good visual. And even with tying my tourniquet really, really, really tight to see if I could get those veins in her hands to pop out. Like, I don't know if you can see, like if I squeeze my hand really tight, like there, you can see some of my veins because I have green veins in my hand. So you can see it, and see if I could get one to pop up. I was not having any luck. She goes, well, what good are you? You're going to have to do this by yourself on thirds. There is no other phlebotomist on third shift. I said, what do you mean? I said, there's no other lab assistant or / phlebotomist on thirds? No, it's just you and one technician. I said, excuse me? I said, they never mentioned that in my job interview or afterwards. And she goes, oh, well, that's what it is. So you have to do this. It doesn't matter if her arm is swollen. So what does this heifer do? So she gets in there. I take my gloves off. I said, look, I'm not finding anything. She's too swollen. I said, her other hand is bandaged. That is just, we are not touching that. And I was like, if I can't get you on 1 or 2 sticks, after 3, I don't touch you. It's really 2 strikes and I'm out. If I can't stick you twice, I get a senior person, supervisor or my lead, to do it. Or the nurse to be like, is there something I'm missing? If I can't get you in your AC, which is your antecubital, it's right here, it's the bend of your elbow, bend of your arm. Or if it's bad, if you're blown out and you don't have any good veins in there, then your hand. I've even had to get blood out of somebody's chest, like right here, like a really good vein they had, right here. But you try to also avoid arteries because you don't want arterial blood, you want venous blood. So that's a whole other ball game right there. The people like, blood is blood. Arterial gases, all sorts of things. It's a whole nother ball game. But anywho, so she goes and she just snatches my tourniquet from my hand, goes and wraps it. She takes off her gloves, doesn't wash her hands, and pushing and palpating, and then digs into the patient's. And the lady who has like a breathing mask on, she's got a CPAP and high flow oxygen going. Her daughter's like sitting in the corner. She's like, Mom, are you okay? And she's going, oh, and she's moaning and she's crying. And I said, you're hurting her. And I say it. I was like, I think you're hurting. I was like, you're hurting the patient. I didn't say I think. I was like, you're hurting the patient. She goes, well, I have to get it. I said, let it go. I said, we'll come back later if some of the swelling's down. So she pulls out, and she pulls out roughly. When you pull a needle out, and then she just like slams down on it to like staunch the bleeding. I did not like how she did it. Well, I'm an old tech, and old tech knows the ways we know how to do things. Get the out of here. So, we go back to the lab, and she goes, well, and then she goes, well, stand out here and see if there's more people coming in. You need to get more practice. I don't think you're very good. Okay, so why the hell did I get an A? And I got all my stakes successfully solo. Because I'm not any good, apparently. So Then there was a conversation, don't know how it started, but then she started talking about certain kind of women in grocery stores with their children and how they act up. And I mentioned this in the video I will link up in the cards there, where she's just like, your name doesn't match. I said, excuse me? I was like, in the system? I said, is something wrong? Did they input it wrong? She goes, no. I mean, your first name doesn't match your last name. I was, you don't look like a Melissa. I was like, oh, okay. And then she walks up to me, invades my space bubble, and has her stringy little white hair all up in my face, going, you know how some people are. Some people just don't know how to act. I said, okay. And I could tell she was trying to goad me. And then, it gets even better. This is all one day, people. This is all one day. Very long shift. I'll tell you the shift. 5 in the morning till 1:15. Yeah, they had me working 5 in the morning till about 1:15 because I clocked out early so I could get to work. And I told them I worked seconds, and they still made me completely so early in first shift. Like, I was doing 8-hour, full. I worked almost 110 hours that first damn week. Burnt out. I fell asleep sitting on a toilet. I fell asleep in the middle of a sentence talking to my friend Jenny. It was bad. Anywho, she kept talking about black people, basically, and how they don't act right in public. And then she was just like, well, we were talking about it. I was like, oh, yeah. I said, my mother's very educated. I said, she comes to certain, several degrees, and she worked in this background. My grandma was a nurse. My papa was a World War II vet, and he worked for a bank, and he was a mentor in the Boys and Girls Club. So my sperm donor, Joseph, my father, Vaser, also is highly educated, has a PhD, master's, super smart from a very prestigious college. And I'm surprised that your family's educated. Excuse me, Negative Nelly? Excuse me? And I said, I too also hold several degrees and whatnot. And she goes, well, it seems like you like to just degree hop. You don't even like to use them. You just like to collect them as trophies. Just to say you can. Maybe you don't have any talent that you could actually use them in. I'm kidding! No, when you say something like that, and then you say, I'm kidding. No, I ain't. You meant it. You meant it. You meant it. And I said, okay. I was like, I actually haven't had my 15-minute break. Is it okay? I was like, I'm going to go take my 15-minute break now. She goes, oh, okay. I was livid. I walked around that entire hospital complex. I was blowing up my mom and my Uncle Robert. I'm going, somebody please answer this phone because I'm going to kill this old lady. I've never been to jail. I don't have any criminal record. I said, but I literally thought about grabbing her by her stringy, nasty looking white hair and taking her and snapping her neck back like a Pez. And I just and then just banging her face into the stone, the hard laboratory black tabletops, the workbench. Woo! I just imagined myself doing it repeatedly. I was like, I need to get away from her before I make this a reality. So I walk. And I finally get a hold of my mom and my Uncle Robert. They're like, why'd you chain call us so much? I said, my mom just told me, leave. Peapod, leave. Just leave. My Uncle Robert says, put in your 2 weeks and get your money and then just leave after, 2.5 weeks. Just, get your, don't let them stop you getting your money. He goes, but yeah, you need to get out of that situation. I said, yeah, I need y'all to talk me down. I said, I can't go to jail. I've never been to jail, but I'm telling you, this lady's pushing it. So then I go, I need to speak with my supervisor. So I walk in and I'm listening, and there's a blind spot. She's talking shite about me to the supervisor. She doesn't know what she's doing. She takes all these breaks, blah, blah. I haven't had a break, and I took a 14-minute break. I came back. I power walked around that building quickly, and it's not a very large hospital to begin with, and she sees me. I walk up, and I guess I give her a look up and down, and she just stares at me like. I said, and I looked at my supervisor, can I speak to you alone? We'll just call her Mindy. And I was like, Mindy, can I speak with you alone? She goes, oh, well, of course. And I said, you can go now. And she goes, close the door. I said, I need a new preceptor. I said, she's talking about me. I said, she hurt a patient. She does not wash her hands or use gloves. So she is not following sterile technique. She is not following hand hygiene. None of it. And I said, and she hurt multiple patients. At the point I skipped out, she had dug the needle into several patients. Not just that poor lady on ICU that I mentioned, but several others that day. And I went off. She goes, oh, which patients? And I listed them off. It was XYZ, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And she's like, oh, but no, I can't give you a new preceptor. I said, well, I had somebody else on the first day. Well, she's only PRN. I was like, well, how about the lady that I'm filling in for? Can I just train on third shift with her? No. I said, well, what about Smith? What about him? No. I said, this lady, I forgot to mention, she also called me a Negro. Now, she was also about to call me the other N-word, but she slipped and called me a Negro. And I said, how was that fair? How do you want me to sit here? And she goes, Mindy was very unmoved. I'm so sorry. I said, you blew my phone up all excited about me coming to work for you. And now this is happening? You won't work with me? I gave you multiple options and you're denying me left, right, and center? Not having it. Not having it. So, I said, you need me. I don't need you. I said, I can take this badge off, sit it on the desk, and walk out. I said, I already have a full-time job. I'm just doing this for some extra money for my mother and myself. And she goes, well, I don't want you to go. Well, get me a new preceptor. I really can't. I said, I understand she's got a lot of experience. I said, but she doesn't know how to talk to people or treat people, and especially our patients, and especially her coworkers. I said, where does she get off thinking that she's better than me because she's got a master's? I said, I'm just as educated, and if not smarter. So obviously she's lacking common sense and a lot of empathy here. And she goes, well, I'll see what I can do. I can see what I can talk to her. And I was like, sure. So I walk out of her office. I said, and by the way, I'm leaving early today. And I was just like, I stayed late on this day. I said, I'm leaving early. I said, because I had stayed over almost till 2 o'clock the previous day, almost being late for my primary job. And she goes, oh, that's fine. I said, I'm just looking at the clock going, I only got 48 minutes left. I got 40. She goes, did you take a lunch? I said, no, I didn't take a lunch. I said, but you will pay me for not taking a lunch. And I thought about taking a lunch and then just leaving after my lunch. I said, no. I said, I want them to pay me. So there were a few more patients, and I did that. And then I was like, okay, well, Cindy knows I'm leaving. I have to go to work now. And so I clocked out. She says, bye. So then I get up, do the cycle, work my regular job, and I do the cycle again. I get up, and I'm just so nauseous. She takes one look at me when I get there at 5-something in the morning, and I immediately run to the bathroom, and I'm vomiting. I projectile vomited. Like, my body was just going, you can't deal with this. Like, I had the bubble gut. Like, I was just a mess. I was stressed out. I was disgusted, angry, and stressed out, and I projectile vomit. And somebody could hear me vomiting in the bathroom, like, hey, Melissa, are you okay? Are you okay? No, I'm not okay. I was like, I don't feel well. And she just looked at me and didn't even say good morning. She just glared at me. Just looked like just an evil, rude-ass look. This wench. I get through the day. She still makes these terrible comments, and she's just rude as hell. And I'm just going, well, I'm only working to this. And then Cindy's like, well, what can you work? Have me working on the weekend, 7A to 7P. Saturday, Sunday. 12-hour shifts. Have me scheduled next week for 12-hour shifts, bookended, with several shifts during the week. I'm like, no. I said, here are my availability I'm able to do, and I wrote down what I could. And she's like, well, can you do this? Can you do this? I was like, I'm not doing anything. Might as well get some money. But I'm just going, do I have to work with her? Yeah. So it was the previous weekend that was going to be like those really super long shifts with her. But knowing that I had to work Monday with her, again, I was vomiting. I had the bubble gut. I was not feeling very good. I just felt very sick. I call and say, yes, my name is Melissa, and I'm calling in. Again, I'm brand new to the job, and I'm calling in. And the lady's going, I said, I'm calling in to say I quit. I'm putting in my formal resignation. And I typed, I will read you. I still have my resignation letter. And I will read you my resignation letter. And she goes, oh no, I'm so sorry. I was like, you can report it to the rest of them. I was like, because I am not dealing with this. So it's a hot mess. So they're like, oh, okay. So I ended up sending, because when I finally turned in all my work material, my badge, everything they gave me, work binders, everything, ink pen, notebook, I turned all that in. I went to HR, turned it in, put it in an envelope, and I made 10 copies of my like a 3-page, 4-page resignation letter. I didn't hear anything. I will read you my email that I sent to the VP, but let me read you my resignation letter. It's loading. June 26, 2017. To whom it may concern at Healthcare. I am writing to inform you that I am resigning from my position of third shift phlebotomist lab assistant with immediate effect. Please accept this as my formal letter of resignation and a termination of our contract. I feel that I am left with no choice but to resign in light of my recent experiences regarding the treatment I received from my preceptor, Negative Nellie. In the lab, I only had several days with her, but her behavior towards me was unacceptable and the deciding factor in my leaving the company within a short amount of time. I had asked for another preceptor and was informed that she was the only one with experience due to the others being newer and not comfortable with training, since they had just been through the training process themselves. I approached the manager, Mindy, regarding how I was treated on Thursday the 22nd, June, and Friday, June 23rd. We spoke at length about it. I have nothing but respect for Miss Mindy. She was very kind and listened to what I said. But I finished my shift that day, but I felt after the talk we had that my preceptor's behavior had gotten worse. The treatment I speak of is this. She was incredulous and surprised that I was educated. I have a college education and obtained several degrees. She made a comment and then backpedaled and stating she was just kidding. When someone makes a comment like that and says just kidding, didn't mean that, they meant it. My intelligence has been insulted. It may not have been her intentions to do that, but it was gross ignorance on her part. She also violated my personal space by stepping so close to me that her hair touched my face while making a comment about mothers of a certain ethnicity and their children. I do not know why she felt it was necessary to come stand directly in front of me and bend down to tell me how some mothers act on the store with their children. It leaned toward a certain kind of women. Normally when someone invades or steps that close to you, it is a display of disrespectful intrusion of space. I made it crystal clear that I am not from Illinois, and I was raised differently. I should not have to justify my background. I have 2 college-educated parents, a former nurse for a grandmother, a banker, and a World War II veteran for a grandfather. I shouldn't have to explain why I am intelligent and I profess professionalism. I am of multi-ethnic background, and I will not deny my heritage. As my last name implies, it is from another country. I am proud of who I am. I was proud to come to this company and share my talents. I no longer feel that this is the case. Since being the new hire, I should have gotten the benefit of the doubt, and the discussion of my educational background shouldn't have happened. I did notice after I spoke to Mindy how she was regarding and speaking to me. Her attitude changed from "you're not doing this and that correctly" to, in harsh tones, to "great job," with sarcasm or just being fake about it. I did not need to be mollycoddled or mollified. I've gotten into healthcare to help patients and be a part of a wonderful industry. I am very open to constructive criticism. After all, it was training so I could do the best job I could do for the patients. After all the false niceties, she reverted to not being rude, but it was passive-aggressive behavior. Also, she was rough with several patients that I witnessed. I verbally told her to stop digging into their arm for the vein. She also did not practice hand hygiene either when assisting with the patients. The reason being for one of the patients was, "I'm an old tech from back when gloves weren't something needed." It does not matter if you're an old or a new technician. Gloves and hand hygiene are both for the healthcare worker and patient's benefit. I told Mindy all of this in our impromptu meeting on Friday, which culminated because of the comments that Negative Nelly made to me. I held my hand up and stated that I needed to take a break and walked away from the situation. I do not put down my preceptor's training and or education. It is her people skills, training style, and approach and how she speaks that need to be looked into. We need more women in science and mathematics. I was like, she apparently is great in what she does, and I respect her with her education, but in that respect, but as a trainer, her behavior and approach were simply unacceptable. I did not feel safe and comfortable in my work environment because of my preceptor's approach. I consider this to be an unreasonable breach of contract on the company's part. I do not feel that it was fostering unity and respecting diversity at all. I appreciate the time and energy which you have invested in training me, but I believe that what skills I have picked up and gained will serve me well in the future. I would be grateful if you could acknowledge my letter at the earliest of available opportunity. Sincere regards, Melissa. And I closed it with, "Nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent," by Anna Eleanor Roosevelt. So yes, that was my resignation letter. I wrote that. Now, I resigned. End of June. I heard nothing for over a month. I ended up, my sister told me, well, the VP's email is on the main, page. Send your resignation letter and send an email to the VP. So I did. And I said, "Dear Sally, my name is Melissa, and I just wanted to send you an email regarding how I was treated during my training at and why it prompted me to resign because I didn't feel the area was promoting diversity or fostering any type of unity. Human Resource called me quite a bit to find out why. I called and got their voicemail. We played phone tag for a while. I delivered my badge, training materials, notebooks, and my resignation letter with several copies in the manila envelope into the main Human Resource office on Wednesday, June 28th. Since receiving my resignation, I have not been contacted, even for an exit interview. It has been met with dead silence, and I find that rather odd and disheartening. Enclosed is a copy of my resignation letter. Have a wonderful weekend, Melissa. And I said I left my address and my phone number. Now, I sent this in middle of July at 10:56 p.m. at the end, basically at the end of my shift. I kid you not, when I got an email at, let me check the time, 6:44 a.m. that Saturday from the vice president. I have received this letter and I'm concerned by it. I have copied our senior executive over HR and will ask that this be carefully reviewed and followed up. Our values include the respect of all people, and to have a work environment conducive to success of our employees, we will be contacting you. Actually, excuse me, she was the regional CEO. Excuse me. I sent my resignation to the regional CEO. And they did follow up with me. That's no lie. They did. They kept their word. They did. But the fact is that HR just ignored me. I think they were afraid of a lawsuit. And I should have sued. I should have, but I didn't. It was the principle of the matter. The story time has been about an hour. So, yeah. That was a story time about me working at another hospital facing discrimination. Being called a Negro. She was trying to say the other N-word, but you know. Negress came out. Well, people, that was interesting, wasn't it? I felt I did the right thing by leaving the company. I should have stuck it out and made them pay me, but why would I work someplace where I didn't feel safe? And if you are ever in a situation like that, do not stay someplace where you do not feel safe, and especially in your work environment. It's very, very important. Do not do that if it's in your work environment. So, on that note, we're going to try to uplift. If you could please do me a solid and take care of yourself and be good to one another and make smart choices. Because I'm watching. I greatly appreciate it. And peace easy. I'll see you next time.